Welcome to another video. On my last video, I mentioned about not creating more Israeli type people that are not connected to us. We have to keep the Gentiles close, right? So I mentioned about that. And as I was just now thinking about it, my heart was just like, you know what? I'm seeing a lot of videos on YouTube of Gentiles teaching the word. Nothing wrong with it. It's great, cool, no problem. But never do I ever hear about them saying, stay connected to the branch. The branch has to stay connected to the tree. Got it? So I want to read a few things about this because my heart is just real heavy on this subject and it's making me feel some kind of way. All right. And I'm torn between this idea of, there's nothing wrong with Gentiles coming into the faith. There's nothing wrong with Gentiles teaching other Gentiles. There's nothing wrong with any of this stuff. What I have a problem with is Gentiles taking what we give them, the lessons, the learning, and kind of rebranding it for themselves and disconnecting from us. This is Yeshua in John chapter 15, verse 4. And Yeshua is saying, he says, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except ye abide in me. I want to talk today about cloning. Okay? When you have a tree and you want to clone it, right? You have a fruit tree, right? And you want to make another fruit tree exactly the same. We know if we grow an apple tree from a seed that we buy in the grocery store, we know it is not going to produce the same apple tree, right? If we grow much of the fruit that we eat from the grocery store, and you took the seed and you replanted it, a lot of the fruit trees will not be true fruit trees because it is a generic rootstock with a clone added onto it. And this alone creates a problem because you cannot get it's not a true seed to tree. Okay. So all these grafted in fruit trees we don't have true fruit. All right. A lot of the fruit, if you try to grow it, it's not going to even be edible. It's nothing unless you graft on a true clone, true copy onto that rootstock. Now, the tree of Yahweh, it started with Abraham. And let me read something about Abraham, okay? Because I want us to make sure that we keep all these things in mind and true in our hearts and in our mind. All I care about is the truth, all right? I don't really care about feelings. I don't care about how we feel about it. I don't care what we think about it. I care about truth, all right? Let's see. Okay. This is Genesis, I forget what chapter. I want to say 11, I think. Verse 13. It says, this is Yah talking to Abraham. And it says, he that is born in thy house, and he that is brought with thy money, must needs be circumcised. So my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. All right. Everybody who is born in your house or bought with your money, they have to be connected to you some kind of way. You get it? Yah made the covenant with Abraham and all the members of his household, whether they were born there or whether they were brought in from outside to live with him, that they weren't going to leave away. They weren't going to run away, or they're just visiting, and so they got circumcised and then they just going about their business. It wasn't like that. You had to remain a part of Abraham's household. You could not leave. You get it? So the original covenant that Yahweh made with Abraham said him and his household. And this was a sign between Abraham and Yahweh that they were in compliance. But the first part of that compliance is they had to be either born in the household or bought with money. Today, modern day, if you're a Hebrew and you marry someone that is not a Hebrew, those people become Hebrews. You got it? As long as they abandon all their gods, their ways, their people, and they take up being a Hebrew. You see, these people, when they left out of Egypt, they were a mixed multitude. They were a lot of people. All right, hold on. Okay, fast forward, from Abraham to when they left Egypt. All right, they left Egypt and they were a mixed multitude. Some were Egyptians, some were Hebrews. But Yahweh looked at all of them because they dwelt together. So you had one person started and everybody born in his house who lived on his land, in his gates, his territorial gate, his territorial fenced in area. Okay. They were a part of Abraham's house. Fast forward, the numbers grew big. Almost over 1 million people, like over 500,000 people, just men, not counting women and children. So you're talking, if you just double that and say triple that, you're talking about 1.8 million people, just the Hebrews. And then not counting all of the other people who joined with them. Okay, all of the Egyptians who joined with them. All right, so let me look at something real quick. All right, this is Exodus 12, and we're gonna skip on down to 37. All right, and it says, and the people of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. That's why I say, you say 600,000. Let's just say you triple that. Let's just say every man has a wife and every husband and wife has a child. Let's triple that. So that's 1.8 million people. It's a lot of people. All right. And then a mixed multitude, 38, a mixed multitude also went up with them, and very much livestock, both flocks and herds. All right. I want you guys to understand the people that went with them were all considered one people. Yah made a covenant with the people of Israel when they were leaving Egypt, when he was giving them the law. And he said there's only one law for the people, for both the people who sojourn with you and yourselves. Everyone has to follow the same law. You see, the people who were in Egypt, they couldn't go back to Egypt. Some of those complainers and murmurers and all of that were Egyptians that felt like we had it better in Egypt than out here. But they could never go back. They couldn't go back to being Egyptian. They had to go forward with being Hebrews, which is why Yahweh killed off that whole generation. Okay? And their children who didn't know any better. They came out as all Hebrews. And only Hebrews entered the land. So the first generation were a mixed multitude. The second generation were only Hebrews. I want you guys to understand this because we need to realize there's only one people. Yahweh is coming back for only one people. I'm seeing these Gentiles, they're trying to be a clone. And that is what I was talking about in the last video. And I didn't go into it because in my head, I had so many things going on in my head that I kind of went off on other things, okay? But today I'm going to try to stay focused on this just one thing to get this point really driven, that Gentiles cannot be Hebrews without the original Hebrews. Just like I read where Yeshua says, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself. The Gentiles cannot bear fruit in the kingdom of heaven by themselves. They have to remain connected to the original Hebrews. They have to remain connected. All right? This whole idea that you can lay hands on somebody, they receive the Holy Spirit, and then they go on living their life. Though they're changed, they never have any dealings with Hebrews. And in their mind, they are Hebrews. And they tell themselves they're Hebrews. They tell everybody else they're Hebrews. And they become another Israeli. And we need to we need to gatekeep this, because this is our thing. Yahweh made the covenant with us and our people. He made the covenant also with the Gentiles later to be grafted in. But even Yeshua says you have to remain a part of the tree. You cannot go off thinking, I'm a Hebrew, I ain't got to remain connected to you. Yes, you do. You cannot have your own identity. You cannot, a white guy or white family, though they call themselves Hebrews, though they say the name of Yahuwah or Yahweh or however you want to say it, they are still Gentiles if they're not connected to the house of Israel. They're still separate, and they deceive themselves with knowledge, with understanding. They deceive themselves if they think that they can remain a Hebrew without the Hebrews. You see, you got the Jewish community, the Ish people, calling themselves God's chosen people. But Yeshua calls them the synagogue of Satan because they are not connected. They took on the identity, they took on the customs, and then they remixed them all, because nothing that they do is an exact copy. But now you got Gentiles becoming an exact copy. But that still is not, it's no bueno. Because they are not remaining with us. They are not remaining with the Gentiles. Remember Cornelius? Hold on. All right. So we're looking in the book of Acts, chapter 10. All right. And let's go to verse 1. It says, furthermore, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a captain of the band called the Italian Band. And I'm reading out of the 1599 Geneva Bible, sorry. Verse 2, a devout man and one that feared Yahweh with all his household, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to Yah continually. I want you to understand he stayed connected to the people by constantly giving, constantly sowing into them, constantly praying for them, praying, seeking Yah. Okay? And then Yah told him, but when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, "What is it, Lord?" And he said unto him, "Thy prayers and thy alms are come unto the remembrance before Yahweh." His prayers and his actions. Okay? Because he stayed connected to the people and he constantly gave of himself to the people, to Yahweh's people, Yahweh remembered him and saved him and his household, everybody that was connected to him. So when Peter came to him, he gathered everybody into his house that he loved, that he knew, and all of them became believers, became grafted in that day, and he stayed connected to the people. Today's Gentiles don't really want to be connected to the people. They don't really want to give to Yahweh's chosen people. They don't really want to sow into Yahweh's chosen people. They want to remain Gentiles. They want to remain white people. They want to remain separated from us while holding on to our beliefs and our God. It cannot work that way. It does not work that way. It will never work that way. You're just simply creating another version of the Israelis. And it's a very sad thing when I see this today, because I can see where this is going. I can see how this is turning. And eventually the church is going to morph into this. They're going to bring the whole church into it. And then the church is going to blur the lines. People are going to start blurring the lines between Christianity and being a true Hebrew. And they're going to start naming their churches True Hebrew whatever, True Hebrew whatever, you know. And they're going to start using the name Yahuwah, Yahweh. And it's just going to be, it's going to cheapen it. And it's just going to be something for sale. It's just going to be something else, a remixed version of what we do, our culture, our beliefs, our God, for sale. I can see it happening because, number one, there's too many Gentiles out here giving the word. And Gentiles were never really supposed to be teaching the word. They were supposed to be learning under Hebrews. Sorry, I had a dispatch on a phone call come in. I want to, I'm going to end this video here with saying, beware. Beware of Gentiles who are not connected to the vine. Beware of Gentiles who use the names Yahuwah, Yahusha, Yahweh, Yeshua, all these words, without ever mentioning, without ever pointing back to the branch. I mean, not the branch, but the vine, okay, the tree. The roots of the tree and the stump of the tree that Yahweh cut off was us. Others can be grafted in, but they must remain in us. And I don't mean loosely like I have a black friend. I work with black people. I work with Hebrews. I watch a message on YouTube. I've been saying this for a minute. You have to get into the community. And you have to work with the community as if it's your own family. You have to build a family relationship with your community. You cannot remain alone. We have been thrown to every corner in every part of the world so that we can teach the Gentiles around us about Yahweh. I am just one of millions of people that are doing this. But those people who we are around and who agreed with us and who stand on the word with us and who have Yahweh as their God and Yeshua as their personal Lord and Savior, they have to remain connected to us. And I don't mean just connected through a subscription online. Yes, that's a connection. And in the spirit, it is a connection. But we need to be expanding and growing, but always remain connected to the people. Cornelius prayed and he gave alms to the people. We have to remain. We have to want to build the people and to help Yahweh's people. Okay? Those of us who have a little bit more, we reach back and we give tithes and offerings. Just as back in the Old Testament, they used to give tithes and offerings to the temple for the temple maintenance. In the New Testament, you see how they shared the things that they had with the other people who were called, the other apostles, the other congregation. Okay? They made sure that the people around them had everything that they need. No one went hungry. No widow went hungry. No orphan didn't have clothes, didn't have food, didn't have what they need. They made sure everyone had what they needed. And today we have to go back to that. Gentiles and even Hebrews, we have to build our community. Not just through prayer, not just through, oh, I agree with your word, but actually get into the community. Actually find and commune and build one-on-one with the community. And I know this sounds kind of weird because in my head I'm thinking, well, I'm on the road. I don't connect with my local community very much at all. I do know of a local community not even in my area that I visited that I really like. They're a little old school, but I like them. But I don't connect with them much, you know. But we have to do better, and we have to be willing and able to connect and build with the community around us, because that's the way this thing grows. Yeah, you can only do so much. You can only do so much with online presence. You got to put boots on the ground. You got to get into communities. You know, if you have a little extra money, find a Hebrew, someone who's a real Hebrew, and find out if they need help. I'm not talking about just finding the average person on the street. I don't care nothing about them. I care about the house of Yahweh. Those who are in the house, who are in the kingdom. Those people who a young woman who is a single mother, who has children, I don't know, try to do something for them. You know, find a older woman who doesn't have a family near you and see if you can help them out. Even Yeshua says, if you do unto the least of these, you've done it unto me. We have to make sure we are continually doing unto Yeshua, continually building the kingdom. Think about Stephen. Think about everything that he did. He served widows and orphans. He helped feed and clothe his community. We have to be that in our community. We have to be able to do that today. Look at all the things going on in the world. Things are getting worse and worse. We have to be able. I'm always asking you, what are you going to do about it? Look at what's happening. Do you know any people that could be affected by this or that, or any kind of natural disaster, or any kind of political disaster, any kind of financial disaster? Do you know people who you can help? I'm always saying that, and I'm going to continue to say that, because that needs to be our aim. We can't be selfish. We can't be people who say, I'm good over here by myself. I don't want to be connected to y'all. I'm good. My life is good. We have to stay connected. We have to stay connected in Yahweh. So I want you guys to just think on these things. And the more I think about it, the more it frustrates me. And the more it kind of makes me upset. Because we're doing what we're supposed to do. Everything Yahweh calls us to do. But I'm seeing this separation. I'm seeing this separation where there's people that want to take from us because they see that this is the truth. This is the way it's going. They want to take from us and then continue to be who they are apart from us. And in the spirit, it doesn't work that way. We got to stay connected to the vine. We got to stay connected to the family, to the people, to the chosen people. Paul never intended, just like I talked about Romans 3, end of the chapter, last 2 verses. Paul's telling them, you have to remain. You have to do what they do. It has to all be connected. There's only one people, one Yahweh, one word, one Lord and Savior. We all have to remain and be and do the same thing in unity. It doesn't work if we're not. Okay? It doesn't work if we're all off doing our own thing and just in word and saying, I'm connected. We're doing the same thing. No. You have to give up your identity. Yahweh, Yeshua accepts everybody who comes in, as long as they're willing to give up everything that they are. Okay, just like we talked about the Egyptians. They had to give up being an Egyptian. They could never go back. Some of them had a hard time with that and caused everybody to suffer. To the Gentiles, you can never go back. Once you claim to be Hebrews, once you claim to be like us, you are going to go through the same things we go through. And there is no going back to that. Coming back from that. You cannot partake of us and the world. You have to choose your side. You have to decide if you are going to be connected to the world as a Gentile and enjoy the fruits and the life of a Gentile, or are you going to walk out of Egypt, walk out into the wilderness? The song Where Feet May Fail. I really like that song. Are you going to go where feet may fail? Are you going to go out and walk out on the water into the middle of nowhere where you have nothing else except Yahweh? If so, come on, walk with us. But you can't turn your back on us, and you can't forget about us, and you can't walk independently of us. You have to stay connected to us. We're either all going to sink together or we're all going to make it. All right? Either we're all going to die out here in this wilderness, or Yahweh is going to take care of all of us. But we cannot allow some people to punish everybody because you decide you want to be a Hebrew. But once you start walking and you realize there's no one else with you, your safety net of being a Gentile is no more. That's how you create Israelis. That's how you create Ish people. You are Hebrew-ish. we might need to start a new thing, calling people Hebrew-ish, just like Jewish. Everyone right now wants to claim being a Hebrew without being connected to the Hebrews. You're Hebrew-ish. Kind of, sort of, but not really. And that's a dangerous game we're playing here. So I'm going to let this go. I'm going to try to get off this topic. But it's bothering me. And I feel like I just can't let it go. I feel like I'm so frustrated about it that, I don't know, it just bothers me. But all right, we'll see you on the next video. You have a great one.